Craig.
Yeah.
Great presentation. You actually touched on a lot of the things that I'd like to ask. We can hopefully dig a little bit deeper. I guess first I noticed as a CMO, you're very fashionable. I'd like to know who you're wearing. Is that American Eagle?
American Eagle head to toe. It's something that every place I've been, it's funny because, again, I've had a few gigs in this industry, and it's like I have to go after I finish a gig and just take everything to Goodwill and then reboot. I do have 2 teenage daughters at home, and I'm at times the coolest dad, and sometimes just cringing because I do wear clothes that at American Eagle that tend to be a little bit younger, but definitely fit me. But yeah, I'm representing AE today.
Cool. Well, you look great.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So anyway, I know you talked a lot about Gen Z and the short attention span. Of course, with that, these fashion trends for them, they change very quickly and can be cyclical. How does AE keep up from not just a content perspective, but from a product perspective as well?
Yeah, I think, Bradley, there's 2 things on this. One is we have a badass consumer insights team, and they are reading and reacting in real time to what's going on. And I think one of the key differentiators, perhaps for our brand, is we actually have an AEO panel of Gen Zers, 2,000 kids, that we can ask any question on any topic on any day, and we do. We really do. And that could be something as weighty as something that's happening in the news cycle, or something as surface as a word or an image. So I think listening to Gen Z is important, and I've really come around to this fact that my team is no longer in control here. Our customer is in control, and we're gonna, within reason, go where they want to go with us. And I think the second thing is that we have a really proactive and reactive social media team. They're all Gen Zers, and again, I've learned, and I think we're there today, that I have to listen to them, and we've created a culture where it is okay for a 22-year-old right out of school to tell the CMO, dude, you got it wrong, and we need to do this or we need to do that, and about 99.7% of the times we go with the Gen Zer on this stuff.
For sure, and that's another one of my questions, I guess, in terms of your marketing and your social team. When you have a brand that is super focused on Gen Z, I guess what percentage of your team reflects those consumers, and are they social natives, or do you hire more senior people who have marketing experience across other channels as well? Yeah,
we have about 250 marketers. Some of that is global, by the way, but I would guesstimate that at least half, if not slightly more, are true Gen Zers. So we have a pretty young associate population. We do our best to try to help those 35,000 retail associates that want to stay with our company mature and graduate into corporate roles. And so I think that's also helpful, because in our industry, the front lines is where you really get the feedback. And so, yeah, we have a lot of Gen Zers on the team.
Cool. And I know you touched on the Alex Earl and the virality. I'm interested to know a little bit more. It's easier said than done, right? To say we react in real time, cut out all the approvals, cut out all the middleman, and get involved in the social conversation. I guess, what does that look like internally, and how do you position your team to react so quickly?
So we have a couple associates that literally their job is just to kind of listen and see and what's going on. Obviously, TikTok is so dominant in that particular world, but also on the Meta platform, Snap, and other places. And when they see something, they will quickly react to it. It's interesting on TikTok, as I reflect about our presence on that platform, 95% of our content is creator content. So our branded content simply does not work on TikTok, which has been a learning for us. And so we give lightish briefs to creators, but you're working with a creator for his or her viewpoint. And we're pretty open to that. So I guess, Bradley, to answer your question, I'm trying to set up this thing is that there are loose guardrails, but we're allowing teams and we're allowing creators to move and tap dance at the speed of Gen Z on a daily basis.
Sure. And I guess in terms of, obviously Gen Z is your core consumer, but American Eagle's an old brand, and people like myself that grew up with American Eagle at the center of culture, Abercrombie. I guess, how do you create a strategy that appeals to Gen Z without alienating your millennial foundation?
Yeah, I love this question, because while our biggest market market share is in 15 to 25. We actually grew the most market share during this so-called pandemic period with millennials. There's a couple theories out there about that, but I think that our brand is, and our sister brand Aerie, known for inclusivity. I love this research bit that someone said in a focus group, is that AE is like receiving a warm hug. Everyone is welcome inside this tent, and I think that really does continue in terms of this age range as well. We have to be about youth culture in above the line marketing, and we are, but below the line, I think we've gotten more sophisticated in terms of keeping that lifetime value and life cycle of that millennial customer with us. So again, maybe a takeaway for any of you guys in this room is, hey, there is a core audience that you're loud and proud about, but don't be bashful, again, below the line, CRM, email, retargeting, personalization, to grab market share. I'm not up on these kinds of stages talking about the fact that, that millennial audience, and honestly, if I'm being truthful, into the 30s and 40s have grown significantly, but they have. So it's interesting to see.
Right. Cool. I guess in terms of the other channels that you just mentioned, or even across all your channels, how important is that social creative? Those assets, are they being repurposed across everything?
No, and it would be so much easier if it was. The reality is the marketing machine that all of us have to work with today is almost overwhelming. We counted up recently how many individual pieces of content we were putting out each week. It was well over 600. And most of those, unfortunately, have to be bespoke to that particular channel. And maybe, just maybe, there is some copy and paste, but most of it is, for TikTok, you got TikTok. For Snap, you got Snap. For email, you got this. For in-store, you got that. I think that's probably why we're winning, because I think that when we've tried to copy and paste, I'm making this up, but Instagram content over onto something else, and it is an epic failure, we call it quickly and we move on. But I will say that you have to still prioritize your content development. And for us, it is social first. We go into every campaign cycle thinking about what will this look like when we show up in social media first.
And does that creative start with social, or does it come from the brand creative and then manipulate it to fit for social?
So again, I'm probably saying something that everyone in this room already knows, but if you and I magically teleported to our back to school shoot that's happening right now in SoCal, we have about five stages going on at one time. And so it could be the big, beautiful lifestyle photos that you might see in store or emails or site, and then video, and then TikTok, and then this, and then that. And we'll give our talent, including models, but certainly bold-faced talent, their own phones and their own old-school cameras to shoot stuff. So it's coming from all sorts of sources, and then somehow we put it into the machine and it spits out things that somehow seem to be working for us right now.
And I know, you talked a lot about, this leap of faith. Our team has to take a leap of faith and just go for it and jump off a cliff. Off the back of that, I guess, how much data are you guys leveraging to inform future strategy?
A fair amount. I still feel that, especially in specialty retail, that it is an art and science game, and I don't think that you can totally swing the pendulum over into science, but I love the fact that on the creative side of my team, they actually want to understand what's working, what's not performing, and how they can actually get better. Again, I want to stress, there are times you just listen to your gut and you go with something, and that's where the magic is created. But almost every single touch point, has some data component to it that we're at least being informed by. We're not always listening to that because we think we're doing something that is leading edge or whatever, but data has to become part of the equation.
For sure. And then I guess off the back of that, a lot of us, and Gen Z specifically, are consuming this content on our phone, and it might get 10 billion views, it might get 100 million views. And I guess, is there any technology that you're using to measure the correlation between those views and retail foot traffic, for example?
There is. We work with what I call the Ferrari of marketing measurement models. It's a company called Newstar. I'm not sure if anyone else in the room works with them. We are about a year and a half-ish into this relationship, and it's a lot to take in. But I always felt like last click, the last action that someone was taking, was getting all the credit and definitely did not deserve it. and I know Google's a sponsor, so I got to be careful what I say. But it's been fascinating then to peel that back, Bradley, and notice that, for example, for our brand, it takes about 32 touches to get to a conversion. Right. And a lot of those conversions are upper and mid funnel, and we're not getting the so-called credit of that, some of the lower funnel stuff, the Googles and the Facebook ads. So it's not perfect, and again, we're newish at it, but it has had some very real-world consequences for how we spend our marketing budget. And I would say the takeaway for any of you here in this room from a brand perspective is fight for those upper funnel media dollars, because that's actually what's performing better for us when you actually look at the return on ad spend. And that's a tough conversation to have with your e-com partner or your CFO partner, but it's the reality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense too.
Yeah.
How am I doing on time? Should I?
You got 5 minutes.
Okay, so I'd like to open this up if anyone has any questions for Craig.
It always just takes one person, and then the floodgates open. So here we go. Yeah, go for it.
How's it going? How's it going? My name is Ryan. I'm with Skydio. So, yeah, I'm asking this because I actually know Alex Earl personally. Spent some time with her when I was living in Miami. Have a pretty good understanding of who her followers are. So my question is this: when Alex posts something about American Eagle, right? Is that coming from her account? And then is she sharing the insights with you, or I'm just wondering, how are you able to measure it if she's posting it natively? Because if you were to say do paid social on Alex Earl, you'd be getting all of her followers plus people that may not be already following her but are interested. So I just to have a better understanding on the measurement when you're using these influencers.
Yeah, a lot to unpack here. And so I'm gonna be Captain Obvious in stating that the one thing in marketing that we as a community have not figured out yet is influencer marketing ROI. And so I'm gonna be very honest with this crew, and we'll keep it amongst us, is that we have to connect dots right now in ways that we don't have to connect to from a media perspective. So to answer your question about Alex specifically, when Alex is organically posting or posting to her native community, if she wants to share with us, great, but there is things that we are seeing from a sales and traffic perspective almost immediately that we know is the Alex Earl effect. What I can, or our team can measure, is any media that we would subsequently put behind that. And so that New Star model that I was just talking about actually takes that into control, right, or into consideration, sorry. New Star and TikTok are working on something new. I'm not even sure if I'm supposed to say that. So again, we'll keep it in this room. But I don't care if you're a retailer or if you're a CMO from another industry, we have to figure this out pretty quickly, because the budget allocation to influencing creators is going up exponentially, and all the way up to a board level, I'm getting asked questions on that. So I hope that sort of answers your question, is that we're connecting dots, I think, better than we did 6, 12, 18 months ago. When you have someone like Alex, we worked with Addison Rae, I don't know if you know her, she also was one of those people that could really move product, and we knew the exact moment something would post and we'd see that, but we don't have it perfected, and if anyone does, my email address is brommerc@ae.com. Please send me that, because I literally was in front of my board in November having this very conversation.
Yeah, thank you. That makes sense. Appreciate it.
Another question in the back. Thank you.
Thanks. Jessie Anselmi from Leap. Quick question. You mentioned you're piloting SKUs in TikTok pop-up stores.
Snapchat, yeah.
Or I'm sorry, Snapchat pop-up stores. Can you talk a little bit about has your innovation moved into the digital sphere where it's much easier to test in a digital format like that, or are you still siloing certain stores as test stores, or how do you handle new product innovation and early read from that perspective?
We do all sorts of testing, and speaking on behalf of the marketing team, most of the fun testing stuff we're doing is with the Snaps and the TikToks and the Roblox of the world. But we do have a testing team that is helping us read and react to physical store testing, read and react to digital testing, and we're trying to be as nimble as a $5.5 billion company can be to move. For us, again, from a marketing perspective, what we're looking for is something catching on, and all of a sudden we can quickly scale that up. Snap is a perfect example of that. I'm just going to be honest. And again, if anyone has this figured out, please let us know. Live streaming, live shopping has not worked, and for most brands I've talked to, that has been the case. We've tried everything. Store associates, stylists, bold-faced talent, all that stuff. It has not worked yet. But my belief is that probably we will figure that out. And so we have an innovation budget that is mostly untouched from the ups and downs that one has in retail. And because we have that budget, the handshake with my CEO and CFO is, you guys go play, and if you find something that hits a vein, off we go together to scale that up. I hope that answers the question.
Okay.
Mark, I think we got one more question before I'm shut out.
First of all, thank you so much, Craig. I learned so much. That was an incredible keynote.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Great Q&A. You mentioned tying it with cultural moments. So as you look at the calendar, I mean, Coachella's coming up in April. You have Pride in June. So how does your team, is there like a cadence there or a calendar? Is it once a quarter or twice a quarter? How many can you tie in with?
So we, thanks for the question. So we have an ABC tier of cultural events. What we have found to be the most successful are events that we own, within reason. We don't have Budweiser budget, but the Outer Banks thing that I just showed, that was something we owned. There was no other confusion in the marketplace that AE was the Outer Banks official partner. Something like Coachella, we will have a presence. It will mostly be through creators and influencers. We are not an official partner, but we have to be relevant. For a B level, it may be we are a partner, but there might be some other noise. I personally believe when you have ownership and you have a unique place in the world, that helps us. So we've announced over the weekend a new collab with the #1 teen beauty brand called e.l.f. Does everyone know e.l.f. in this room? Yeah. So that launches this Thursday. They are badass in social media as well, and we've had a love fest between our two teams, and so it's fun to finally jump off the cliff together. We have one that I can't mention in the summer time frame. I think these are better ones, and that would be my takeaway to this crew today: is find things that you can own a little bit more than just being in one of many. Because I think that allows you to stand out and also express your own brand values a little bit more effectively. Okay, I think we're getting the Oscar music. Thanks for hanging.
I mean, what a great way to start this conference.